All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the Risk Analysis and Preparedness Tool for Your Business webinar. I'm excited about this one. This is really the MEP of Louisiana staff kind of giving you an overview of our business continuity assessment tool that is currently on our website and free for use to manufacturers. I do want to do a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. Participants are in listen-only mode. If you have questions for us, please put them in the question box. We're going to go ahead and answer questions at the end of the webinar and address those. This will also be recorded, and we do have a YouTube channel, and you will be able to find the recording there shortly after in case you wanted to pass that on to any of your staff members. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to introduce you to two of our MEP of Louisiana team members. We have Baxter Saucier, who is our operations director, as well as Dan Stumper, who is one of our project managers. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to our operations director, Baxter Saucier, to get us started and kicked off. Baxter, you want to go ahead?
Yes. Good morning. Thank you, Kayla, for the introduction. I'm going to let you know a little bit of just about our organization, and then I'll turn it over to Daniel Stumper to get into the details of the tool that we're sharing with you today. So LCTCS, MEP of Louisiana, partners with colleges in the system to complete the mission of the MEP National Network. So we're one of many centers throughout the United States, and we focus on manufacturers here in Louisiana, and we do that through a partnership with LCTCS. Next. All right, so it's our MEP National Network is a unique public-private partnership that delivers comprehensive, proven solutions to U.S. manufacturers, fueling growth and advancing U.S. manufacturing. And that being said, we have ties to all 50 states and Puerto Rico for resources, supply chain challenges and opportunities, all sorts of things that our clients can ask us. We have a vast amount of resources nationwide that can help to address manufacturing needs. The LCTCS became the host of the organization for Louisiana's MEP in 2016, so it's been a little over 5 years. And we've developed an expanded integration, bringing comprehensive solutions to manufacturers at a local level. So that being said, with 12 colleges around the state, we have boots on the ground in every region of the state to assist manufacturers through our relationship with LCTCS. Next. The MEP helps U.S. manufacturers through a range of services, including reducing costs, improving existing processes, becoming more innovative and responsive, planning for the future, which is something we'll focus on today, and attracting supply chain partners, finding backups for that, critical resources, things like that. All right, next. All right, so with that, I'll turn it over to our project manager, Daniel Stumper, who will go over the business continuity assessment tool with you. Thank you, Dan. Take over.
Thanks, Baxter. Thanks, Kayla, and thank everybody for joining the webinar today. Appreciate your time immensely. So I'm going to walk you through what business continuity planning is, and then I'm going to walk you through our actual tool and wrap up and then turn it back over to Baxter. So that's what's coming in these next few minutes. So from Wikipedia, we see that business continuity is the planning and preparation of a company to make sure that they overcome serious incidents or natural disasters and resume normal operations as quickly as possible. Contents of or components of a business continuity plan are the actual risk assessment. That risk assessment needs to be site and location specific. It needs to cover all the key aspects and elements of continuing to be in business, and it must include backup plans, training and drills, accountability, ownership, and the plan needs to be updated on a fairly frequent basis, usually about once a year. So with that, we're going to conduct our first and only question here, or poll question here. Does your business have a continuity plan?
Okay, you guys should see the poll on your screen, and I see that, we're currently collecting responses. I'm going to give this a few minutes for you guys to go ahead and answer. Okay, it looks like everyone's gotten their response in. I'm going to close the poll and share the results.
Okay, so we're looking at the results here, and we have about a 40-60 split, about 40% do and 60% do not. So thank you for answering that poll. That's not too inconsistent with what we're seeing across the state at this time. So thank you once again, and we'll move in to talk about risk management and potential issues that you need to factor into your business continuity planning. Obviously we have hurricanes, floods, extended power outages. There have been some fires. The blizzard one, that ties me not so much to a blizzard, but we had the ice storm earlier this year. Suppliers, depending upon where they're located, if they're up north, they may have snow issues, et cetera, ice and all that. So they may have issues. Customers as well, depending upon where your shipping patterns go, transportation, logistics, cybersecurity, and active shooter. And just one point on this list, the active shooter one actually kind of stands out to me because I had a personal, not a personal situation, but a business situation with a company I used to work for earlier in my career where there was an active shooter situation, and it was, in a word, chaotic. So with that, we'll move down into what manufacturers can do to prevent a loss of revenue. So you need to look at these gaps. You need to conduct the risk analysis, create the business continuity plan, make those improvements from the gaps that you identify, train up your employees, update the plan on an annual basis. Key is be prepared and plan ahead. Okay, getting into the actual tool, now that we've talked about some of the mechanics of business continuity plan. Getting in the actual tool, our business continuity assessment focuses on 9 areas: general, people, process, plant and utilities, machines and equipment, markets and customers, materials and the supply chain, transportation and logistics, wraps up with financial, legal, and regulatory. And then I'll talk to you a little bit about the report at the end and some follow-up. So the first category we have is general risk assessment, and what you're going to see on these next slides are things that have been from our cut and pasted, created for you here. It'll rate each category from a % preparedness level. But looking at the general risk category, is there a potential risk gap, that can be adversely impacted? A few years ago, I would have said, not so many years back, but I would have probably said, some of these things that we identified a couple slides ago wouldn't have been such a big impact in Louisiana, obviously the hurricane and the floods. But, some of these other things come into play, like the ice and other supplier issues, et cetera, that we get into. And then also, there is a bevy and a whole host of things that get created in the IT cybersecurity threats, with ransomware for various businesses that are located here in the state of Louisiana, that have happened. There's also issues around phishing and malware, et cetera, all the whole 9 yards. So that's out there. You just have to be aware of it. You have to kind of plan for it. And we'll move into the people category. Does the business have a minimum number of employees to operate on a regular basis? If you would have asked me prior to March or so of 2020, I probably would have said most people have enough people to operate on a regular basis. But since the pandemic has come into our lives and in our region and all that, there are things that have to have been dealt with, and companies are now at very minimum levels, and some companies are actually where one or two key players, if they're out, things kind of shut down. So there's a strong desire on their part to get their businesses staffed up, because it's actually in some cases what we see across the state, it's limiting sales, that you can't get the throughput out. So maybe some of the manufacturers, you can relate to that. Also, does your business have a communication plan to communicate, in the event of, natural disaster or some type of other event? Can you communicate with employees and suppliers and customers, emergency responders, utilities, etc.? So those are key elements of the people. We'll move into process. Does your company have standard operating procedures for all critical work? And I know for myself, and I think Baxter a little bit as well, we're kind of real big on procedures and following procedures. And as we've gone across the state, what we have heard for a number of years going back, as we're both up in age, but so no offense, Baxter, but you see this lack of procedures, and then you see a corresponding turnover, because those expectations from those procedures can't be met unless the employees know what that is. So that's a fault in the system or a potential issue. But then you bring into the fact that, okay, I have the turnover. What can I do to mitigate my turnover as a result of I'm in an industry that has high turnover? What you're trying to do with those procedures is compress the time that somebody is hired on and gets up and running and is providing value-added efforts within your facility. So the last bullet here is how is your businesses managing crisis situations? It's very key to understand that if you don't manage the crisis, it's going to manage you. And this has really hit home, as I live in an area that's been hit by Hurricane Ida, and I see this both on a business and personal basis, day in and day out. Does the company, under plant and utilities, do you have enough size for the facility for future growth? Do you have those production capabilities? Can you get more than 10% more through your facility? Some businesses right now, because of the economic situation, in fact, a lot of them are running maybe one shift or maybe an extended shift. So if you can get people to work those night shifts, you can easily put that on. But others are in a facility that have issues with respect to and my lights just went out. So I apologize. I'll be the ghost from November past here. So anyways, so having that growth capacity, do you have the land? Can you build? Can you expand? Definitely key. Is there a post-incident recovery system in process, in place for the business? It's key to have those things identified, because the more that you have in place, the more that you plan right now, the better you'll be able to manage the crisis and not have the crisis manage you moving forward. Machines and equipment. Do you have reliable equipment? Can you produce the products that to meet those and or exceed the customer expectations? Also for for people across the state that have been impacted by hurricanes and have been out of power and all that, do you have that electrical service? And with everything on the business side of running your business, do you have that connectivity? Can you even get your orders in? Can you turn on your ERP systems to generate those invoices, etc.? So key elements that sometimes in very technological businesses that we take for granted. Okay, markets and customers. what we see across the state is a lot of businesses end up being very local centric in terms of where their customer base is. So that's good and it's bad. But if you're in a region, say like the Southeast here, that part of the state where we just got hit with Ida, and I think there's actually about 25 impacted counties or parishes, excuse me, it's a big impact. But if you're a regional market or you're into a New Orleans metro market or Baton Rouge or Lake Charles or up north as well in the state, and that's your base, there's a lot of risk inherent in that, because when you're coming back, your customers are trying to do the same thing. And if you can get up and running quick, can you ship and do business elsewhere? And could it be along the Gulf South? Could it be within the US? We have numerous business clients that export out into and around the globe. So last point on that previous slide is there a fair and consistent process in place to manage customer orders during an outage? All of the large companies that are out there will enter into and declare force majeure. It's a legal term where they need some relief to manage their customer orders. That's something that is very, if you declare and you have to do that, managing your orders moving forward better be fair and balanced. Materials in the supply chain, okay, being single source or the sole source, on products is a little more risky. It's not that you can't be or choose to be that single source or sole source. There's just inherent in risk, because if something goes down with your supplier, there's a Midwest storm, snow and ice storm, you may not get product for a week or 10 days or 2 weeks or something like that. So just understand that that's a risk as well. And having those alternative supply sources, those lead times, and having those backup plans in place, it really can help the business as you move forward. Getting into transportation and logistics here, you have your main mode of shipment, but I want to talk to the businesses and their transportation and logistics business continuity plans, but also more importantly, there's also an inbound and an outbound, transportation logistics equation. And think if you're watching the news, you're going to see, video of the Port of Long Beach or the Port of Newark on the East Coast or Baltimore or something like that. You can see a bunch of ships, backed up, waiting to get into port. That's a very costly equation that's happening now in dynamic. Actually drives up transportation logistics costs for your business. So it's key to understand what you can do. We have clients right now that have reached out to us. They're looking at reshoring product and developing alternative sourcing strategies today because of what's happening. So the last section here on financial, legal, and regulatory, do you have the financial wherewithal to go 30 days without shipping product, or potentially 60 days without shipping product? If your cash reserves can't support that, do you have access to additional lines of credit that they can bridge you until you can get back up and running? And the last point in this particular section here, which is kind of an interesting one, is what are the 3 biggest concerns for the business moving forward? And what we see is that we'll get the report out, which is should be the next slide. We get that report out and we'll see, okay, hey, the company ABC Manufacturing is looking at whatever their issues are, but the business continuity plan, it's inconsistent. So we help them resolve those conflicts so that they can develop that roadmap moving forward. Okay, the last page here on the actual tool itself, this report, and this is just a cut and paste of the top of the report. what's below, and you'll see it'll give you an overall rating of preparedness. And as you go down through this particular report, you're going to see every section, every question. You're going to see that graphic that you've seen in those 9 previous slides, there telling you. So it actually starts to really give you an idea of the roadmap that you need to follow for your business continuity plan. So a couple of quick questions here. Why is a business continuity plan important? The plan allows the owner and or the leaders of a business or company to work on the business instead of in their business. A lot of businesses get started, mom and pop shops, smaller businesses, and the owners are out there side by side with the employees running equipment. But to do the things that you need to do to grow the business, to have the sustainability that you need, and hopefully, the reduction in variability in sales that you need with that continued growth, not the swings that we see at times like we have recently with Ida. Those things you have to do the other things within the business to work on it, the sales side, the marketing side, some of the planning activities. So the second question, why should I complete a business continuity plan? Simply put, what you don't know in business can and will often hurt you. Businesses do not plan to fail. They oftentimes fail to plan. So that's key. I know you guys may have heard that before once or twice, but that's a reality, and we see it a lot of times across the state. Okay, moving into my last slide here for today with you all. Wanted to share with you some of the comments, just a few comments from testimonials that clients have shared with us for the number of business continuity assessments that have done. The first client, this is a tool that all businesses should be using today. The second one is the tool helps provide a roadmap for planning for our business future. And I didn't realize the planning gap we had until Hurricane Ida. So that's what I had for you today. I thank you for your time. Thank you for allowing me to explain business continuity planning and our particular assessment tool. I'd like to turn it back over to Baxter, and he'll try and wrap up. So thank you very much, everyone.
All right, thank you, Dan. Great job helping us get more familiar with the tool. What we'd like to show from what Dan shared with you, when you go in and actually do the assessment, and we'll show you a quick, easy way how to go onto our website to do that. What it generates is a report back to us here at the MEP of Louisiana, and it's going to highlight, as you can see in that graphic shown right now, what some of the biggest concerns are for your business. And so from that, our internal staff of experts will generate some recommendations to work with you on which things you should address first. And they may generate projects to work with you to get your business better set up to deal with any sort of business continuity issues or challenges that you could have. Okay, next. All right, so to demonstrate that, we want to show you just how easy it is to sign on and get onto the business continuity tool from our website. So we have go to our website, and from there you can see there's a button to click to get into it. And every company, every manufacturer that's going to get on and use this tool and try it out, the username and password are the same for everyone. Once you finish your company information, it'll send a unique report to the project managers in your region, but everyone will use the username of guest and the password of survey to get onto the tool and start to populate it. So we're going to show you just from doing that, this kicks you right in, and then you just click the button, start survey, and right away you start populating your company's information, and then you begin to answer the questions, which will generate the graph and you know, the things that we would want to highlight with you to give you feedback. Okay, so that's it for that. What's our next slide? Okay, so also we want to share with you, if you have any questions following this webinar, you can reach the MEP of Louisiana at the 800 number there that you can see on the screen. Baton Rouge is our main location. That's our email address. If you have any questions or you want to reach out, you'd like to have one of these business continuity assessments facilitated, but you really don't want to do it on your own. You'd rather for project manager was there with you. As we mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, we have boots on the ground in every region of the state. So we would work through the LCPS contact and project manager in that region to make an appointment with you to actually go through the assessment and get that done with you. If you choose to do it on your own, that's no problem. We'll still get a report generated that will be sent to us, and we will follow up with a phone call and set up an appointment to review the recommendations with you. And once again, in order to get to that tool, all you have to do is get to our website, which you can see on the screen, www.mepaul.org. And I think that's it. I'll turn it over to Kayla to see if we have any questions that were generated during the webinar. We're going to open it up now so that that Dan and I can answer some of those questions that the group may have, and then we'll wrap up.
All right, thank you, Baxter and Dan. We do have a few questions in the question box, so I will go ahead and get started with that. Is the business continuity plan valuable to small businesses?
Okay, I'll field that one. The value to small businesses, what we see oftentimes across the state is a small business may have an idea or may have several ideas of what they want to do from a business planning standpoint, overall business planning standpoint, but there's no business plan put together. This would actually help small businesses because it's going to identify key segments of your business where you're going to have risk, where you need to mitigate issues. So this can only help small businesses, most assuredly will help small businesses out there in the Louisiana manufacturing environment.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dan. Would a business continuity plan conflict with our current business plan?
The business continuity plan is actually something that should complement your overall business plan. If you have an existing business plan in your business, this is a great addition to your business to mitigate some of the risks and some of the what if things that could happen to your business that will cause your plan to maybe go astray, and it will be a document that you can come back to help you moving forward and get back on track.
All right. And I have one more here. How much time does it take to complete a business continuity assessment? So they're wondering, how much time is this going to take them to go through the whole tool?
Okay. The business continuity assessment usually takes about 20 to 25 minutes to get through the whole thing. So it's not very long, but I wanted to mention one of the slides or one of the screens that was up a little bit earlier after you sign in, and you see that you'll notice there's a progress bar across the top. It'll have all the 9 elements in there and all that. So you can come and do, hey, just say you have 10 minutes or something like that. You can come in, sign in, do a few things, and come back and do it tomorrow or do it next Monday or something like that. And you can, so it may take you more time doing it that way, or you may choose to do it in the evening, whatever your hope and desire is there to get it completed. And so there's a lot of flexibility. You won't lose the previous information that you put into the system. It'll be out there. It'll just we'll be able to see it was started, but we won't see the whole report until it's completed. But that's 20 minutes, 25 minutes, not a lot of time to invest in your business.
Great point, Dan. I don't see any more questions coming through to the chat box. You guys, please use that questions box to get any of your questions in. I do want to take this time to let you all know that once the webinar has ended, you will receive a survey from us. Please go ahead and take a look at that. It lets us know in the future what type of content you guys are looking for. What are you struggling with in your business that you need more information about? Also, as you can see on the screen, if there's anything you need, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. This webinar will be available on our YouTube channel, like I said before, so that if you want to pass this information along to someone in your staff, you're more than welcome to do so. But again, I'm not seeing any more questions, and looks like we're saving you guys a little bit of time today. I know everybody could use a little bit more time on your calendar. So we're going to go ahead and end for the day. Thank you, Baxter and Dan. You guys did a great job, and reach out if you need us. Absolutely. So thank you all so much, and have a good Thursday.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.